The Bandwadi landfill is located in northern India, in the state of Haryana. It is 20 kilometers away from the city of Gurgaon and is located in the Aravalli Hills. This area is also an ecologically fragile zone. In the year 2003, this site was a very deep mining pit. At that time, Gurgaon was developing rapidly too and needed to dump its waste. The authorities found this site suitable for waste dumping. This site was initially planned to be a waste-to-energy plant and ran smoothly for 2 years. However, in 2013, a massive fire broke out in the site, while many also claimed that the fire had been lit intentionally. The plant stopped operating and the dumping of waste continued.
Around 1100 metric tons of waste every day is sent to a landfill called Bandwadi.
The Bandwadi landfill, which is very close to Gurgaon, receives a total of 1100 metric tons of waste daily. The landfill carries 25 lakh metric tons of old waste that we have been dumping there for the last 15 years. It is 40 feet high, 250 feet deep, and covers an area of 30 acres.
That's, the height of almost Qutub Minar. Other than this 1100 metric tons of waste that reaches the landfill, another 300 metric ton doesn't even reach the landfill. So it ends up getting dumped in the city all over the place, or clogging our drains, or getting burnt because we want to visually wish it away, and it's adding to the air pollution of the city. So you see mess all around in the city that is getting created because of the amount of garbage that we are throwing out.
The area around the landfill is a leopard corridor. It also has other animals such as nilgais, hyenas and jackals. An endangered species of vulture is also regularly sighted around the landfill. But the dump yard poses a threat to all these animals.
इसके अलावा अगर हम वाइल्ड लाइफ के हिसाब से देखें,
If we talk about wildlife, there are carnivorous species like the leopards. They may not be very affected by the landfill. However, animals like jackals are very affected by this landfill. The leachate that seeps out from the landfill contaminates the nearby surface level water bodies. The animals nearby are forced to drink from these contaminated pools of water as they have no other option. This should definitely be harmful for these animals. Along with this, each animal has its place in the food cycle. If one part of the cycle is affected, there will be repercussions on other parts too. For example, a cow has eaten something from the landfill. The milk that the cow gives will be drunk by somebody. A herbivorous animal, like a porcupine, has eaten something from the landfill. This porcupine may be eaten sooner or later by some carnivorous animal. So, it's not like only one animal will be affected. If one animal is affected by the landfill, then approximately all animals are affected by the landfill. All kinds of waste are mixed at the dump yard. Approximately 50% is wet waste, 30% is solid waste, and 3 to 5% is hazardous waste. The hazardous waste here is electronic waste, which, when disposed of in the landfill with other types of wastes, releases heavy metals into the soil. This makes the whole site toxic.
Around 70% of the heavy metals that are there in the landfill are on account of e-waste alone, and 40% of this is lead, which is totally on account of e-waste.
Not only is the whole site toxic, but due to the contaminated water from the landfill which seeped into the soil, high levels of cancer-causing heavy metals such as lead and cadmium have been found in the groundwater of the villages near the landfill. The major impacts of this contamination are on animals drinking from contaminated pools of water and villagers using the contaminated water for domestic purposes.
अगर उसको हम जियोलॉजिकली
If we look at the Aravalis geologically, they are fold mountains and have natural cracks in them. These cracks act as water recharge zones. Through these cracks, rainwater reaches the ground very quickly without any diversion. However, if you are dumping waste in such a location, then along with the rainwater, toxins from the landfill will also mix up and reach the ground at the same speed. The aquifers are quite large in length, often stretching out to 40 to 50 kilometers. If we analyze the aquifer at Bandwadi, then we can see that it connects the areas of South Delhi, Gurgaon and Faridabad. This single very large aquifer starting from Bandwadi connects all these locations. If there is some new material coming in the aquifer, they create a whole new pocket in the middle of the water, and that pocket spreads. That means that the groundwater contamination has already begun. The biggest problem of this is that in nearby locations there is proof of groundwater contamination too. This will spread to more locations in the coming years. In the starting, only areas close to the dumping site had cases of groundwater contamination. In the first stage, Dera village in Delhi was affected. Then the Bandwadi village. Both of these villages are 2 kilometers away from the landfill. Then villages 4 to 5 kilometers away from the landfill like Gwal Pahadi and Baliawas also have complaints of groundwater contamination. Some time ago, people came to Mangad village and found traces of contamination there too.
Hello everybody, my name is Sanjeev Sharma and I am working for EcoGreen company. Before EcoGreen, there was no leachate management. In fact, leachate used to be present in the open areas in the service lane of the site. Looking at the worst condition, EcoGreen first created HDP lined leachate collection ponds for controlling the seepage of leachate into the soil and leakage outside the boundary of the Bandwadi plant. Generally, when there is no leachate management properly processed and planned, generally leachate from a landfill, any landfill, it actually seeps out, and it is the constant seepage of leachate can cause a damage to the surrounding of the environment the plant is located at. So the first thing that EcoGreen actually started doing is to basically control that seepage which was causing damage to the environment. So since we have controlled everything, it is not, besides a little bit of smell, it is not causing as such a huge damage to nature and people living around it. It's controlled.
Leachate ponds have been set up by the private company EcoGreen to combat the leachate leaking out of the landfill site. However, the issue still persists. The landfill releases huge amounts of greenhouse gases like CO2 in the atmosphere. There is also a foul stench one can smell near the landfill. Villagers claim that deaths due to cancer have increased after the major fire which struck the landfill site in 2013. However, the landfill has other social impacts too.
The social life and economic life of the households are also been negatively impacted because being a house or village near to the dumping ground, people are not willing to marry their daughter in those villages. People, they are not able to do any business because nobody wants to come to the nearby locations because of the landfill site, because of the bad smell, foul smell, because of the pollution and other things. So this has created a lot of negative pressure on the people residing nearby villages.
As a local resident of Mangad village, the village I have grown up in, I used to see that a lot of natural water used to be present. But I had never faced the problem of flies and mosquitoes at the water bodies. But now, even if you go in the winters, you will see that there are so many flies and mosquitoes near the ponds. They stay all year round. My personal observation tells me that the landfill might be the reason for this.
It has severely impacted the soil, water, and the surrounding ecology and the social life of villagers. It did it 2008 to 2017 before Ecogreen took over. It was causing damage to the serious medical issues to the people around the Bandwadi plant. We started. We create the provision for leachate, the disposing of leachate, and also the solid municipal solid waste, be it legacy waste or the fresh waste. So now the damage is controlled.
Sanitation workers, the ones who collect our waste from our residences and transport it to the Bandwadi site, are also affected by it.
इतनी गंदगी का काम अगर कोई भी मान ले करेगा.
If anyone does this unhygienic work, it is inevitable that they get sick. There are some sicknesses surely to be found among sanitation workers. Asthma, skin irritations, sore throats, and common colds are inevitable. Sanitation workers, when working, have an unwanted portion of the garbage which enters their nostrils and ultimately affects their health. There are no regular health checkups done for these workers. Whatever is done for them is only on paper. When the garbage is in regular contact with their skin, sanitation workers tend to develop skin irritations. There are no protective equipments. If you look in the cities, if you look in your own residential complex, you will see 2 to 4 sanitation workers who have a simple dress or gown. There are no protective equipments through which they can protect themselves.
Now, what's very interesting to know is that of this waste that we are throwing every day, almost 85% is not waste, it's resource, and wouldn't even need to go to any landfill if we were segregating and managing our waste.
First, we must look at our waste and see how we can reduce some of it. Most importantly, the single-use items. Look at any 5 single-use items like straws or plastic bags, which you will replace with reusables. Around 50% of the waste in the landfill is organic in nature, which can be composted at individual and community levels. Another 25 to 35% is dry recyclable waste, which we can recycle to make products which can be utilized again. Another 3 to 5% is e-waste, which is rich in metals, and when we throw it away as mixed waste, it is responsible for all the toxicity in our waste.
What's important is that if we were to just take care of these 3 categories, we would be sending less than 200 metric tons of waste every day to a landfill. And we are, right now we are using around 450 odd trucks every day to send to just our waste to the landfill. So instead of that, we would be ending up sending less than 60 trucks. So imagine the resource that you would have saved, not only from your waste, but by the infrastructure and the additional facilities, the petrol, the trucks that you're using, and reducing the air pollution in the environment. If you mix your waste, then really nothing can be fixed. So step 1, we must segregate our waste. Step 2. Composting still requires a little bit of effort, but step 2 you could take to start recycling your e-waste and your dry recyclable waste.
This will prevent the toxicity from reaching our landfills. No plastic will reach the landfill, which will eventually break down into microplastics and come back to us in our water. Or resources like glass, which will lie for 4,000 years in the landfill but can be used indefinitely in the market. Or valuable metals, which do not create heavy metal poisoning in aquifers but reused as new products, and we will not need to take more metals out of iron ores.
So just recycling your e-waste, recycling your dry waste, and then composting can help you in reducing your current waste and making it a resource, at least 85% of it.
देखो, सबसे पहले बात तो यह है कि हमें ना चीजों को देखने का जो नजरिया है ना वो चेंज करना पड़ेगा.
Firstly, we must change our mindset. People in the villages say that there are a lot of problems because of this landfill, but they tend to look at the economic side of things. If we are getting work because of this site, then it's alright, they say. I myself have seen a lot of people who are objecting to this landfill, but after its inception, they fit into the system. I have also seen many educated city dwellers who are very important decision makers come to the Bandwadi site and protest against it. But my personal observation says that we should not think of this as marketing. Many people say that the waste here should be segregated. While segregating is an option, what is the need of coming to the landfill to say this? Ultimately, waste production starts from our homes. So if we start at a larger level to segregate our waste, it will be much more productive. The main thing is, we must be mentally prepared regarding these things. At first, we must try not to even produce such a large amount of waste. And if it is occurring, then we should segregate it and send it outside. Single-use materials must be collected separately, while recyclables must be recycled, and from wet waste we can make organic manure. However, the problem arises when these things get mixed up. You took your waste and gave it to the sanitation worker, after which the waste gets loaded onto trucks. As they pay the workers as per the mass of the garbage collected, they also fill in soil and water along with the garbage, which makes the garbage collected heavier. All this is sent to the landfill site. Due to the heat from the waste and sunlight, methane and other hazardous gases start being produced. Another thing is that when we say we should not be using polythenes, which type of polythenes are we opposing? One type of polythene is the one we receive from the grocery store, and the other type of polythene is the one we are forced to buy to purchase certain products. We don't talk of that much, although it is much more harmful. For example, what is much more toxic than the general polythene we use for our vegetables is a Kurkure packet, which releases chemicals into the soil for more than 10 years. These are the things we must attempt to understand. The corporate systems should also look for solutions for these things. Can there be an alternative to these plastics? Is there some alternative where we can use less environmentally degrading materials such as paper? This is a very large-scale activity. By only blaming the government or protesting at the landfill site or registering court cases will not help, because as long as we are producing waste, there will be a place where it will go. Today we are speaking for the Aravalis, but some days back they had thought of doing this at Basai, which is a wetland area. Ultimately, wherever you create a landfill, problems will naturally arise. The solution to this is that we must mentally prepare ourselves for these things, and that we must do what we can. After we've done that, the role of the government comes, according to me. At the moment, many people are creating awareness. But when we are talking of pollution, many people avoid it and say that if more cars are being created, the pollution will definitely increase. Then some people go for the solution that if pollution is increasing, plant more trees. The situation is similar for water. Some will say that let it be as it is, while others will say that use your taps less. But the solution is not planting trees to reduce pollution, or is it using less of our taps to meet water shortages? Until and unless we learn how to preserve our forests, planting trees will be a futile exercise. The situation is similar for water. Until and unless we stop using our water recharge zones as property, then a solution cannot be found. As for waste, we are in such a situation where we cannot get rid of it. The environment we have created is so full of waste that even if we stop producing the waste we are currently producing, the waste already accumulated will do damage in its own right. In the city, up to 70% of the products have plastic in some form. Even in village areas, nearly 50% of the products have plastic in some form or the other. However, we should be able to devise a technique through which we can use waste as a resource. In the village, I have seen that cement bags have been used to make ropes. The grass, which was previously used to make rope, was unavailable, so this was a new solution. But now, even in the villages, these practices are not happening. Even if you visit villages, you are sure to see garbage. The villages in this area are nearly 500 to 700 years old, and I have personally never seen a garbage dump of this magnitude. But in only 15 years, the waste from the city has created a mountain of garbage. The problem is that waste is not being recycled in the cities. So, we must encourage our younger generation to focus more towards waste recycling. If someone from the younger generation is studying engineering, he or she should devise a method through which we use the waste we have. In other countries, there has been use of plastic to create cycles. Like we are creating awareness regarding water, we must explain certain things to the younger generation. For example, when they are drinking from a bottle of Pepsi, at that moment, only the taste of Pepsi is in their mind. But if they are mindful regarding the end result of that bottle, many things can change. 10 years ago from today, we had these drinks in glass bottles, and after drinking, we had to return those bottles. But today, we have many different sizes of those bottles available, and they are made of plastic. They also have to be thrown after you use them. Although these bottles are recyclable, they don't even reach the recycling facilities. So, we must be mindful of these things. Either we completely discard using these items, or if we are using them, we must be thoughtful. The young generation is smart enough to understand that these bottles can go on to create issues. For example, 5 friends have gathered. Before, what used to happen is that they bought one large bottle of cold drink from which they could all share. But since there is a smaller option now, everyone took 5 bottles each. These are very small things, but nobody speaks of them. Generally, people come from the cities and shout that this landfill is affecting our kids. But they should equally show that, look, because of our waste, a problem such as this has come forth. The main thing is, if our young generation can understand this, then we will definitely find some solution or the other.
तो फिर तो कोई ना कोई सॉल्यूशन हमें मिल जाए.
The Government of India issued the SWM rules in 2016. This rule talks about the segregation of waste at the household level and treatment of the waste in different streams. The dumping of waste is just the result of improper waste management. Households or commercial establishments must segregate their waste in terms of dry waste like paper, napkins or plastics, and wet waste, which is the kitchen waste, as well as hazardous waste like batteries and medicines. They must be segregated at the source so that they don't end up as mixed waste in the landfill.
So once the waste is segregated at the source, then comes the collection and transportation that need to be collected and transported to their specific destinations. For example, dry waste, plastic and paper, they can be sent to the recycling centers or material recovery facilities, MRF, for further segregation, and then it will be sent to the recycling centers. Wet waste can be taken to the composting plant where it will be treated by using composting methodology technology, or it can be taken to the biomethanation plant, or if they have the high value calorific value, then it can be taken to the waste to energy plant. Okay, and then hazardous waste can be taken for the treatment to the hazardous waste treatment facilities, so that only left is inert, which is ideally 10%, that goes to the landfill site. So now you can see, suppose cities like Gurgaon and Faridabad jointly, they are generating say 2000 tons of waste that is going directly to the Banwadi site. So only 10%, that is 200 tons, will go to the site, and that also inert. So since it's inert, so it won't create much problem. So you can see that how, by what margin, the waste volume can get reduced if cities practice the proper waste management in line with the SWM rule 2016. So there is rules, there is regulations. This need to be empowered by financial viability. So that is again a question why such projects are not being successful, because they lack in the financial viability. There is lack of payment from the users, households, the user fees. People, they are ready to pay for their mobile bills, they are ready to pay for the electricity bills, they are ready to pay for the gas bills on monthly basis. But when it comes to the paying for the waste collection charges, it really becomes difficult. They are not, in many cases, they are not ready to pay the waste management fees to the agency who are involved in the waste management. They are not ready to pay to the municipal corporation. So that leads to the low collection rate of fees from the households, and that ultimately results in the less financial viability for such projects. So there should be households, they need to pay the adequate amount of fees to the municipal corporation. Municipal corporation need to appoint either a third party agency for collection, transportation or processing and disposal of the waste. In this case, EcoGreen has been appointed by the corporations.
One of the areas where the young generation can make a change are the behavioral changes of the households. When it comes to sensitizing the population, the young generation can play a very important role of promoting segregation to the households. The focus should also be there on the reduction of plastic. If you are living in a society or residential complex, composting pits can be set up in each of the community gardens. The kitchen waste from each of the households can be sent to this composting pit. If the waste management practices are not being followed, then it can be a good suggestion to segregate waste at the source and set up composting pits. The compost produced from this can be used in the residential garden itself. Ultimately, the waste going outside the society will be reduced. Sensitization camps can be conducted at social events. Few people look at the waste produced post that event, but it should be maintained that proper segregation takes place at every social gathering.
First is the waste segregation at the source.
According to Mr. Sanjeev Sharma, EcoGreen has been profoundly promoting waste segregation and is aiming to educate people regarding waste segregation. However, changing the mindset of people is proving to be a difficult task, he says.
The change of behavior is a very difficult task because without contribution of the local resident or of the stakeholders, this entire task of reducing this huge, humongous landfill is not possible. So the change of behavior is important. Not many people are actually open to keep 3 dustbins. So we promote 2 dustbins in the beginning and then 3. Second is people don't want to keep their own compost plant. People don't want to keep the waste also. People don't want to keep the compost plant also. They generally generate waste and throw it. Non-availability of dry waste recyclers in the city is another problem. Not too many companies are very proactively available to buy the dry waste, which is now changing gradually. In last couple of months it has changed, but there are a couple of companies are coming. Channel of unauthorized vendor in the city of waste collection who recover what is needed, dump in the open grounds and burning what is not required. So there are a couple of areas we have spotted in the city where illegal vendors are operating, and with the help of local resident or maybe on their own, there are a couple of illegal operators, those who collect waste from home and then they take out everything they need and the rest goes to the open illegal landfills, which is also reducing now. Waste segregation should be part of lifestyle, and this is what we believe, that waste segregation should be the part of lifestyle, and it should be a fashion statement for youngs. Basically, they should come forward and take this as a responsibility and make this as a particular as a day-to-day behavior. If someone is not segregating the waste or littering the waste in the open, he should be categorized as uncool, or that is or for one society in Gurgaon started Namaste Giri campaign for those who were not segregating waste, basically. So it's like basically following the Gandhian style and promoting this, that segregation is cool, non-segregating is not cool. So that's how we involve youngsters. Also, younger kids can be engaged in the activities like selfie with 3 bins to promote the segregation. That you click a selfie with 3 bins and send us a selfie. This is creating the awareness and giving them not very tangible rewards to all the kids involved in these kind of activities. As a part of environment subject, waste management segregation should be prioritized at the school level so that they can learn the habit for segregation at school, college or home. School colleges should have the option, should also have options for the waste management composting. Like schools can have their own composting plants. So students there, they can actually not only theoretically they learn it, but also they learn it practically when they get to see something like that happening at the school level. If the waste is segregated, only then it can be recycled or reused. Otherwise it will be soiled and of no use. If you mix it, you can't fix it.
The landfill has to be segregated. Wet waste from the landfill can be used to derive organic manure to be used in farms. The EcoGreen company is already doing this. Wet waste can also be sent to biogas plants. Dry waste from the landfill can be used to make roads through the plastic granules. In summary, wherever possible, we must segregate and make use of our waste as a resource. If these steps are followed, then such landfills will not form. To involve the general public and the new generation in this, we must create awareness amongst them. The workload of a sanitation worker must be reduced. If the general public and the new generation thinks of some new machinery to help the sanitation workers, it will be very beneficial. Where 100 sanitation workers are required, only 100 should be there, not 50 doing the work of 100. After cleaning our houses, we must not throw that waste in the streets, as the worker will have to pick these up. When the sanitation worker comes, he will have to pick up the waste from only one place, rather than spending his time and energy in going around the residential complex to collect the waste from the streets. Every 2 months, sanitation workers should be given health checkups from good doctors. A prescriptive report of this checkup should also be provided.
कर्मचारी तरफ ध्यान दिया जाए, 2 महीने में उसकी डॉक्टरी जांच होनी चाहिए
जी।
बिल्कुल कैंप लगा के उसकी एक रिपोर्ट आनी चाहिए। हाँ
जी जी जी
हेल्थ के बारे में सोचना चाहिए, क्योंकि वो इतने लोगों के कुछ चीजों को उठा रहा है जो गंदगी से भरी तो है ही।
बिल्कुल।
This is just one landfill out of many. Our neighboring state, Delhi, has 4 landfills exceeding the height of 40 meters. In the age of rapid urbanization, where waste management tends to be overlooked, the creation of unplanned, open dumping sites are inexorable. We have learnt that the Bandwadi dumping site poses serious threats to the rich biodiversity in the region, and it has already begun the contamination of the groundwater. It also produces hazardous gases which pollute the atmosphere. Not only this, but the landfill also increases the suffering of the villagers nearby. After speaking to the distinguished experts, we have heard of the ground level realities too. 85% of what we throw away is resource. The pathetic conditions in which sanitation workers are expected to work, the lack of financial viability of projects like waste to energy, the rigid behavior of people who don't want to keep 3 bins in their homes. Although we are advocating for the segregation of waste, we have heard from Mr. Pradeep Gurji that even though the waste collected from the households are often segregated, the end result of that is mixed waste which goes to the landfill. However, the situation for waste management is very different in other countries. Wales, South Korea, Switzerland, Germany are known as the best in waste management. Although the situation for each country is unique, our aims should be somewhere along the lines of these countries. Ultimately, it's up to us. The segregation of waste and the discardment of single-use items from our lives. My generation, the younger generation, is much more sensitive towards the world around us. Hopefully, we will not see more mountains of garbage form anytime soon. I would also like to thank all the experts who made this documentary possible. Mr. Sunil Sharma, Mr. Sanjeev Sharma, Mr. Sunil Harsana, Ms. Smita Ahuja, and Mr. Pradeep Gurji. Thank you very much for your guidance.